Hello and a warm welcome to yet another new video at Simply Electric featuring the Nio ET7. We've previously introduced you to both the Nios EL6 and ET5 touring models. Now we've also gone ahead and presented you with the SUV counterpart, which is the brand new EL8. Today we're taking a closer look at whether such a chic and stylish luxury sedan is currently available out there on the market. Limited until the end of the year with 0% financing or up to 15,000 euros discount for existing vehicles should be taken from the Nio side, and that's reason enough to present you with this interesting electric sedan in 3 videos. We start today with the classic review, where we show you the car from the outside and inside, give you some valuable updates on the battery, there are quite a few news, and basically show you where. How well does it drive, and does it really go from 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. Then, in a few days in a second video, the consumption drive with the charging check will follow. We're taking the Nio ET7 onto the A20 highway to test speeds of 100, 120, 140 and 160 kilometers per hour and see how quickly it charges from 10 to 80% relating to the 2 batteries. So just hang on for a little moment. Yes, and in the 3rd video, Stefan mentioned, man, we really have to make sure to visit Auto Zurich.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Schwyz, my beautiful Schwyz, and we said, hey, let's take the Nio ET7 and do a hardcore test over 2,000 kilometers, since it's quite far from us.
Yes, for car and human.
Right, that's the question. Who suffers more, the Nio ET7 or the 2 of us? So stay tuned for the 3rd video. Let's not waste time. Check again if you're in the einfach elektrische community. If not, we would be delighted if you could support us with a subscription. It's completely free and really helps us greatly with our future work. Please feel free to like and share the video. Let's kick off with the new Nio ET7. As usual, we begin outside, starting at the front, looking at the front end, and finally we have a sedan, not an SUV, Stefan.
Nice.
I think the look is great. Here's a nice daytime running light, and it has an almost bullish vibe, could almost resemble a shark, even without the gills. Slightly overhanging here, license plate holder, 360-degree camera system, and the vents below. We have a purely battery electric designed vehicle here, and then we basically have dual BIM LED headlights, but unfortunately they don't currently have a matrix function, only a simple dimming and brightening feature, and in my opinion they could give a bit more light in the dark. We're quite spoiled with the EL8 and the EL6, which have the new matrix headlights, and I'm really hoping, Nio, that you'll soon gift the ET7 with some nice matrix headlights during a model update. Yes, from the outside it seems it is of course powerful. We are talking about a vehicle length of a good 5 meters 10, an upper class limousine. Yes, with whom can we compare it, Stefan? Is it justified to compare it to the Mercedes EQS or BMW i7, or is it rather a step lower? Please feel free to write in the comments what your thoughts are on this. It consistently comes standard with 20-inch wheels. Optionally, you can get 21-inch wheels for an additional charge of 2,500 euros. Our test car already has winter wheels on in 19 inches, 245 R19, with a nice rim that's somewhat aerodynamically optimized. But I think it feels very, very high quality in the car. What sets Nio apart, in my opinion, is this trendy modernity. Some might say, man, there's a lot copied from the American supercar maker, but I think Nio doesn't need to copy because they have good ideas. Have themselves. In this case, it appears as a silver matte finish rather than silver chrome anodized. Sure, could have been glossy black for me too, right, Stefan?
Yes, right up to the B-pillar.
Being in the luxury class here, we aim to noticeably stand out a bit more in terms of perceived value. Yes, we have flush door handles which open up and operate very smoothly and beautifully. What's really fantastic is that we offer the soft close feature as standard. Plus, speaking of standard offerings, you have the Nio ET7. Pretty much everything comes standard all the way to the tow hitch. So the only additional charge I found was truly for the 21-inch wheels. And there you have to decide, do you want big fat tires or do you prefer one size smaller at 20 inches as standard, where you might also enjoy better range? I particularly like the look. It almost seems like a fastback sedan, but we'll find out later it's not a fastback. It slopes down nicely in a coupe-like fashion, and then back here I find it has this simplicity that looks very elegant, especially in the taillight design with this almost continuous light strip. I might even remove the ET7 lettering so that people become even more curious and intrigued about the mystery of what kind of modern trendy limousine it might actually be. Let's talk about the dimensions again. It is 5.10 meters long. You see, the car doesn't even fit between my outstretched arms. It is approximately 1.51 meters tall and 1.99 meters wide with the side mirrors, even 2.20 meters. The wheelbase measures 3.06 meters, allowing you to select between two various battery packs within that span. On one hand, 75 kilowatt hours gross, from which you can probably draw 73.5 kilowatt hours net, or alternatively, a 100 kilowatt hour battery, from which you can use 90 kilowatt hours net. With Nio, it's special because the car starts without a battery pack. This means the starting price still remains 69,900 euros. The smaller battery subsequently costs an extra 12,000 euros. The large battery costs 12,000 euros, 21,000 extra, or choose battery rental. We are familiar with this concept, among other examples, from the Renault Zoe from back in the day, where you essentially have to pay a monthly rate. I think it was 199 euros for the small battery or 289 euros monthly for the large battery. What might also truly make sense is that if you rent the battery instead of buying it, you have the option to use the battery swapping feature. That means there are currently, by now, I believe more than 16 battery swap stations available in Germany, where you can exchange your battery pack for a fully charged one in approximately 5 minutes. And that's also at very, very attractive conditions. We'll discuss this again in more detail in the third video when we do the road trip to Zurich. Yes, until the end of the year, there's the opportunity to save up to 15,000 euros on existing vehicles or to get 0% financing. Take a moment to explore the Nio website and perhaps you'll find that your ET7 bargain is indeed available there. Otherwise, there are also very, very interesting subscription models for used vehicles, where you can subscribe to a Nio ET7 relatively flexibly starting from 700 euros monthly rent. And yes, it's being charged back here via the charging port, which simply doesn't want to open at the moment. It opens electronically, a quite handy little flap. It opens upward, meaning no fumbling around with the cable. Somehow it doesn't matter if from front or back. For us, if we charge publicly in the city where the station is on the passenger side, whether that's ideal, I don't know, but the car comes from China. Charging with AC 3-phase alternating current at 11 kilowatts, not the wanted 22 kilowatts. That would have been great with the large battery pack. With DC, it differs for the small battery up to 140 kilowatts, 0 to 80 in 30 minutes, and with the large battery, and there are now two different cell chemistries available. That means the older cell chemistry charges with up to 128 kW in 40 minutes from 10 to 80%. And the new cell chemistry can charge with up to 180 kilowatts DC, and then, Stefan, you won't believe it, charges from 10 to 80% in under 30 minutes. We'll find out during the consumption drive with the charging check what our subject has to offer. Holes within? Yes, battery swapping. Many in Germany know it and say, oh sure, swapping batteries, what's the deal, blah blah. In China, this process occurs every 1.8 seconds. Nio has now formed a strategic partnership with Geely, which includes well-known brands such as Lotus, Smart and Volvo. Polestar and others are all part of it. That means Geely vehicles like the Tigre might even do battery swapping in the future.
That'd be cool.
Then battery swapping might mean something different here in Germany, because if more start doing it and the stations are placed every 100 kilometers on highway intersections and networks, then it would be brilliant because we'd be closer to refueling. Well, I mean, refueling usually takes around 5 minutes, and if a battery swap takes the same amount of time, then there really aren't any arguments left against taking a charging break at that point.
Sure.
Yeah, super excited. Yeah, in the 69,900 euros without the battery pack, it includes a front motor that drives the front axle, purely electric with 180 kilowatts, 245 horsepower maximum output, plus an electric motor that powers the rear axle, giving us an all-wheel drive system with 300 kilowatts, 408 horsepower, and a total output of 480 kilowatts. 653 horsepower, 850 newton meters of torque, 0 to 100, I'll check that with you, in 3.8 seconds, and it should top out at 200. We'll handle that on the efficiency drive. Let's check where we can store things here. I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter now. Is there a frank or isn't there a frank? Because when I read some comments, many viewers don't use frank at all, do they?
Nope.
Do we even want to show it at all?
Yeah, come on, the ones who actually want to know.
Our community is really into franks and they play a key role in electromobility, but sadly the Nio ET7 is missing a frank. I find frank really intriguing. For new viewers, basically, you can toss your charging cable in there, which is handy during bad weather in autumn. In winter, it turns wet, salty and dirty, and you don't want to mix it with your luggage. And when we take a look at the trunk shortly, I could imagine that the frunk in the Nio ET7 might also have good significance. Yeah, hood vent clear, luxury, insulation 2 with an electric motor and climate tech, also top-notch luxury. Now we need to double check if the sound quality is top-notch too, right?
Sure thing, get ready. 3, 2, 1, let's begin now.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if the Nio ET7 was similar to, say, my Mercedes EQS? Back then, featuring a fastback design, right?
Sounds great.
With such a large tailgate that opens, giving the EQS roughly 646 liters of storage space, where you can also fold down the rear seats to maximize load capacity. And you actually have an upper-class luxury sedan, which somehow could meet all possible needs, wouldn't you say?
Sounds great.
Yes, with the Nio ET7, they have decided, which is actually quite common for a sedan around the world, except maybe in Europe, because the classic notchback is still, globally speaking, the most loved and used car. That means we're opening a spacious and large cargo hatch here, which naturally reaches its own limits, simply because of its dimension and the given height inside. And where a total of 363 liters of storage volume are cleverly hidden away, I was admittedly quite a bit... Not really what you'd call a major showstopper, is it?
It's a bit thin, isn't it?
Below there's another small compartment. I've gone ahead and packed a Y-food for our trip, which is perfect for storing extra things. No room for a charging cable either, hopefully not. Nio naturally includes charging cables on board as standard. I think type 2 and also chocolate emergency kit, and then you have a bag, and then there's also the bag there with the 363 liters of stuff, right? Well, as I said, I'm not really a fan. Feel free to write in the comments whether you like the sedan, or if you think, hey, the few times we travel, we just throw the suitcases in and so on. Because the Nio ET7 always includes a standard tow hitch by default. That's obviously a great story too, and we have everything very nicely here. Look up to here, all the way up there where the American supercar maker shows the bare metal, everything neatly covered with carpet.
That's already fancy.
Well, that's certainly classy, and for the fans of refined skiing who, like us, want to head to Kitzbühel or Zell am See, we also have here, although I'm not sure, I don't want to exert any pressure here. Oh, forward. Oh, look, you have to push it inward. Yes.
But then again, here the flap is in the storage area.
So you see a few skis or a long item definitely fit through here. It's convenient, and for those who enjoy being chauffeured, like me by Stefan, they could easily install a cooler box here, right?
Indeed.
Yes, so as you can see, there are actually various options available here to transport a long item because it's unfortunately not possible to fold down the rear seat backs.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, that's another question. I mean, there are vehicles like in the past with the Mercedes S-Class, the 7 Series BMW, the Audi A8, because the tank was behind. We didn't have that, just the battery pack. And here they likely chose so, since the rear seats, which we'll cover later inside, can be heated and ventilated as standard, can also be massaged as standard, and there's some sort of lumbar support, but they're definitely not electrically adjustable in this configuration here. That's probably why they decided not to make it foldable. It would have been cool because then you could have pushed a dresser or something through.
However, that does shed some light on why I wasn't able to find the maximum trunk capacity during my research efforts.
Ah, impressive. Stefan was being investigative once more. Impressive. Yes, we definitely have nice anodized aluminum. See why it matters. Our prototype has done 17,000 kilometers. Hard plastic can easily get scratched. Yeah.
There's often a cooing pigeon.
But nice carpet here too. Nio spares no expense. ESO 0.0. There's an emergency release. If someone gets locked in the trunk, please don't do that. There is definitely an emergency release here. And there's the button, since what opens electrically.
Does it close electrically?
Certainly the trailer hitch will most likely, presumably, eventually emerge from the screen at some stage. Let's take a closer look at how this actually works. You won't believe it, but it's simply a press of a button
Yes, we have discovered it.
on the monitor, and then this trailer hitch extends out electrically. It extends fully. No need to touch it. Press it and it likely retracts. Makes sense, right? And then with the Nio ET7, you have 2 tons of brake trailer load, which I think is really impressive, right? So that's okay. You can definitely attach a bigger horse trailer, a caravan trailer, garden waste can be transported, and it has a support load of 100 kilograms, which is perfect for a bicycle rack or a box. It can also carry 3 bikes with it, you know. There would also be a hitch box that you attach to the tow bar, which I've seen where you can also still, by adding 400 units, you could increase it to a full 463 liters, significantly boosting the capacity you have. And of course, you can use the bike rack for the friend cared for e-bike sports. Absolutely, I didn't find any information on a roof load, so it surely seems there isn't any. If you have additional info, share it in the comments. Since the roof isn't usable, a rear box for suitcases and items might be practical, as 363 liters with 4 adults means space is limited. That's a bit little. I'd say let's take a look inside the Nio ET7.
Asleep now.
No, I turned on the fragrance here and I've got a nice seat massage, a comfortable interior temperature and seat heating and so on. Now in autumn, it's already getting uncomfortable. I'd say let's take a look inside together. We have, first of all, wonderfully standard 2 panes connected with a film. This is often referred to as double glazing. And now let's move forward together to take a closer look at the specific details of the door panel. Yeah, up here, that looks quite similar to the neoprene material in my EQS, so a very, very nice story. Nio strongly emphasizes sustainability and the use of recycled materials in their products. That's likely some, I think, bamboo or so. Also looks quite nice, yeah.
Great.
You're going to receive 3 interior colors, a beige, a white similar to what we have, and a black anthracite. I also find this gray to be nice, that it's not black. Here, it's again this dark grayish, somehow made to look valuable. By the way, sound system 23 speakers, Dolby Atmos 7.4.1 or something like that. It's like our home cinema. We'll try that out soon. We have a nice and practical rubber mat here where we can comfortably set down the fries when we're visiting the chemists. Very nice. 4 window controls. Seats, mirrors, wheel, and so on adjusted via a monitor. We'll show you in a moment, and we have the button for good luck here to open the door.
Fine.
If that doesn't work, we have a grading scale down there. And down here, I have to honestly say, it's really hard plastic, and it's not soft and doesn't foam. But in here there is a carpet, and down here is a rubber mat, but you can hear it, it rustles and clatters. Yes.
I'm simply just saying it.
Oh, Nio man, maybe that's worth considering for the next model update. Soften it for enhanced comfort or cover it with stylish faux leather for a better feel. I truly believe that would add the perfect finishing touch to this upper-class luxury ambience. Look, Stefan, here haven, so not heaven like the sky, haven 1. What does haven mean?
No idea, really.
Yes, indeed. We've got a really nice fragrance system here. There are always essentially 3 bottles inside. They are mounted here on the center console where you can create a room fragrance in varying intensities. I find it super pleasant. Smells really nice too. Okay, let's go chronologically. We have a very nice large head-up display that projects the essential information onto the windshield. I like it, but it doesn't offer augmented reality to me. I might have hoped for that in such a premium class. Then we have a nice 10.6 or 10.8 inch driver information display here where we can show all essential functions, and there's a multifunction steering wheel that's flattened on the top and bottom. Nice, I've got two here again with this medium grey, dark grey and white. I think it's really great. With the right keys here as well, after adjusting it works quite nicely. Excellent control on the left, the indicator lever on the right, the wiper lever. I find that really great. That's something we still know a bit about vehicle monitoring. We'll get back to whether that's annoying or less annoying, and then we basically have here the menu where you also, for example, have a pet mode if you want to leave your dog in the car while shopping. You have a camping mode in case you maybe want to sleep in the Nio ET7, how that works then. Without folding down the back seat, it also wasn't that precise. So you definitely have some options there. You have the possibility here to adjust the position and also to adjust the side mirrors and the steering wheel here using the buttons. You are familiar with everything, you're thoroughly informed, and you can easily save these settings accordingly for future reference. So this infotainment display, an AMOLED 12.8 inch kind of floating freely, I find it somehow chic. Yes,
It has something, I think.
if sameness doesn't seem to work either vertically or horizontally. So that's kind of an unobtrusive size. And when you see this as part of the overall picture, again up here with this neoprene-like fabric with Nomi Mate up there, who also supports us really well. Hey Nomi, how are you today?
I'm having a wonderful time in this car. It's incredibly enjoyable.
Yes, I can confirm that. It's a great story. It comes standard and is somehow also a funny gimmick.
Absolutely, yes.
Right, and otherwise, of course, you have 256 colors of LED ambient lighting here. The fast processors you have here allow you to switch functions easily and zoom in seamlessly whenever needed. So it's actually all a great story. Now, we kind of got a bit lost while zooming here, but you see, that's just how it is. Quick and smooth. You also have quick select menus, for example, here for the radio or also for the onboard computer. Climate control menu. I must say this is all somewhat incredibly insane. We have a traditional gear selector with options for reverse, drive and park. That's all good. Next, we have a quick button for driving modes. We'll show this later in the drive report with Eco, Sport, Sport Plus and individual settings where you can adjust everything yourself. I find that really, really great. And what we also have on board, of course, is a 4-dimensional air suspension, which not only has air chambers to achieve different damping levels, talks about utilizing soft, comfortable, hard settings, but also making use of camera systems, topographic data, and navigation data. Finally, a high-resolution camera looks ahead. A manhole cover is coming. I need to soften. Or a quick curve is coming up that I want to take, so I need to toughen it. So this is also an interactive air suspension. We'll get to that later in the driving report. I believe it could turn out to be quite exciting. Yes, and here we have the possibility to wirelessly charge a large smartphone as well. Here are 2 cup holders. This is our Draggy. We want to check later if it does 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. We are going to check out the interior noise levels by using a decibel meter. Finally, we will also take a look at the center console storage area, which opens elegantly in both directions. I think it's quite nice. But even there, I could have imagined it a bit cozier, more insulated. Even though I'm sitting quite comfortably and ergonomically well here, we will discuss that shortly, I also have an excellent seating position. One criticism, I'm now at the very back, at the very bottom. But in terms of space, I'm a bit more confined in distance than I might be used to from the BMW i7 or EQS, because there I can really stretch out my legs. And here I sit, a bit tense, not like at a dining table in an SUV, but more like at an extended dining table. I'm not entirely sure how to express it. Yes, like being in a kind of sloping recliner, yes. The view through the passenger door shows you once again that we have here a nice big compartment, which unfortunately is also made of a hard plastic. I really kind of miss a nice soft carpet insert or some kind of rubber material here. But I don't think it's as prone to scratches and rattles. You might be able to fit a lady's handbag in there, a gentleman's small bag. So in that sense, we also get some extra storage. What I really miss is a glove box, right, Stefan? Perhaps we're just somewhat spoiled, always accustomed to having things effortlessly open with the push of a button, like a glove compartment. Is there also another cool room for some stuff like that?
Or simply just a drawer, if that's really not the case.
Then we certainly have some really nice chairs, you might say, although I personally would have preferred, incidentally, that this is completely made of animal-free faux leather. If we could have had a bit more support or cushioning here. In the thigh area here, we can use the electric controls to extend and retract, adjusting the seat's length. I kind of would have preferred a bit more lateral support somehow. Maybe a little outcrop up here in the shoulder area as well. What we definitely have are nice comfort dots with little wings you can lean on. That's actually nicely done. And what I find really cool is that it also comes standard with it is this panoramic glass roof. Only criticism, we don't have a shade to close it. But what we do have here is Alcantara. Yes. And look here, also Alcantara. Yes. And then here, where we always tap, it's covered with this faux leather here. And look, if you're sitting way in the back, down low, you know, when you're driving me, I can nicely rest my arm here. Yeah.
Nice extended armrest.
That's also kind of a really great story in itself. I have to say, it's a kind of carefully staged modern luxury that doesn't, I would say, usually come with other luxury cars like a Bentley. With Rolls-Royce, you really get the complete experience. And here, of course, it's not directly comparable to a Bentley or Rolls-Royce, yet it offers a very hip, cool, and somewhat understated sense of luxury. We have seat ventilation, seat heating, and seat massage available both in the front and back. And here too, I think the straps match the seat nicely in terms of color and design. So here, everything is somehow designed right down to the frameless mirror. I really, truly love it so much. And this is just the very first introduction we have here. Let NIO's second and third launches follow. I think it's going to be great. The Nio ET7 is reportedly one of the most popular chauffeur-driven cars in China.
That's quite understandable, really.
And Stefan offered that if we drive to Zurich and back the good 2,000 kilometers, he would chauffeur me as long as I sit in the back and don't say anything the whole time. But then there would actually be a silent film video of this 2,000 kilometer stove test. Feel free to leave a comment below if you'd love to see that happen, or if you believe, no, Stefan, I definitely still have to take the driver's seat myself and just be along for the ride in the back. I'm curious to see how you'll all react. All right, let's get back to focusing on being serious. I stand 1.85 meters tall with a deer-like grace, weigh 99.9 kilos, and am eager to see how I might smoothly slide in here. What I really love, and you all have to check this out again, is the soft close feature here.
And here we go again. Buddy, wake up. We're here.
I've switched on the massage here. I've turned on the seat heating, so I'm sitting here feeling all cozy and warm. Especially with the headrests. Finally, since Nio truly knows how to make a center armrest.
A little longer, nicely forward, with a lid over it, over some compartments. Exactly.
USB-C port, simple. There's another USB-C port down there, but that's how it's done. Please, like an armrest, right? Yes, see, just so. Retracting cup holders, nice, twice. I must tell you, I'm genuinely quite thrilled about this.
Certainly, absolutely indeed.
The only thing I have, which we also noticed with the EQS, is that I somehow have this weird seating position here. That means somehow my seat cushion could be a little longer, somehow it might also support me a bit more. Due to the presence of the battery pack, I am able to sort of slide my feet under the seat, but I still end up feeling quite cramped and a bit uncomfortable in this small space. Not sure how to say it, Stefan.
Well, kind of being pushed into a situation where you really don't want to be.
Exactly, so it's not uncomfortable. I can really sit here excellently. If it drives quite well, I really believe it's a superb chauffeur limousine. Yet I'm missing something here somewhat. Goodbye. Look, over here we have 6.6 inches, the third display once more. We have a modern 3-zone climate control system. This means I can adjust and set up to 4 zones for optimal comfort in the back. Why does NIO's site say 3 zones? It's 4, right?
Indeed, eh?
Yeah, probably because they can't count to 4, right? No, just for fun. So from that, we also have seat heating, seat ventilation, seat massage, and so on. I really think it's all quite cool. Don't you agree? Also, how it has continued to live on inside here, and I've got the beautiful glass roof again, which was unfortunately probably divided here for safety reasons because of stability, because the car has also successfully passed the 5-star NCAP crash test since the year 2022. We have here a robust 5-year warranty, I believe, covering up to 150,000 kilometers. That's of course great too, 5 years full warranty, and they've got 8 years, I think up to 160,000 kilometers if I remember correctly, covering the battery and drive here as well.
That's good.
So I have to say, Nio is really offering good value there. The seats in the back are pretty much the same as the front, also with the little headrests. You can also adjust them in height. We have a nice coat hook here on the side if you want to hang a jacket. The one thing that probably also fits into this modern luxury category is, once again, this delightful soft neoprene fabric, I would say. But down here, there's something missing where you could put in a newspaper or a tablet. Yeah, like some sort of storage pouch, especially if you're on a trip with children. Perhaps they could think about enhancing that feature a bit during the next model update. But otherwise, everything here is nicely carpeted, no bumps or irregularities. Go through it all. You can even ride with 3 people for a short stretch. You've got tons of space here. I can totally see why people in China like being chauffeured in such comfy and stylish cars. We've shown you everything on the outside, we've shown you everything on the inside. Let's move on to the driving report and experience the Nio ET7 on our roads here. A lot of people likely use the ET7 in urban settings too. This vehicle spans 5 meters and 10 centimeters in length and has a turning circle of 12 meters and 50 centimeters. It's a pity that, unlike some other cars, the ET7 does not come equipped with rear-wheel steering. The Mercedes EQS, which is even 5.22 meters long, reduces the turning circle to 11 meters with the 10-degree rear axle steering, making it basically as maneuverable as, for example, a VW Golf or a Mercedes A-Class. And I would have wished for a slightly smaller turning circle with the Nio ET7, although it probably won't bother many once you're accustomed to its length and size. But in tight parking garages, I think it's quite sensible. Speaking of urban environments, it's obviously crucial how well I can park such a Nio ET7 with a vehicle length of 5 meters and 10 centimeters. Let's go ahead and try that out together by shifting into reverse gear right now and then carefully parking the vehicle neatly alongside the other car to get it right. We have guidelines here, everything is smartly done, and somehow the cameras are just super high resolution.
That's really great. Even here with all the leaves and stuff.
Well, that's really awesome. Also with the top view, everything in one glance. You also have the possibility to switch, such as viewing your rims and various additional features. You have the capability to enlarge it as needed. I truly believe it's an absolutely brilliant concept. Furthermore, you also have the potential for 3-dimensional visualization, which you're already familiar with, to then just easily walk around the car appropriately, plus also have the convenient option to use a sophisticated parking assistant. That essentially takes care of parking the car for you perfectly. You can adjust the brightness here, making it lighter or darker. So, to be fair, this is really one of the best camera systems you can find. And even with guidelines for the front, in case you're not sure, like can I get around there, can I not get around there with the long nose and the 5.10 meters? So for a huge car, perhaps some front guidelines would be useful.
Indeed true.
We've got cobblestones here, let's take a listen. Done well, eh?
Yes, gently over it.
There's a big deep pothole up ahead, let's see what it does. Surprisingly comfortable.
Yeah, he's doing well.
But not exactly like a sedan chair.
No, that's not exactly it.
So when you think about how the i7 or the EQS made their way clattering through that pothole, it was really like, was there actually something happening?
Indeed.
So I'd say with the Nio ET7, you're getting not just 653 horsepower, 850 Newton meters, but also this insanely smooth and comfortable ride. He's not exactly like a rocking horse. He might not be the one that smooths everything out effortlessly, but he handles it effectively. He does it in a serious, competent, and sustainable manner. But he probably won't ascend into the state sedan chair, will he?
No, not quite. It's not enough yet.
We're taking a drive in comfort mode along a winding country road in Mecklenburg, traveling at approximately 70 kilometers per hour. Keeps it nice and smooth, huh?
Yes, he's doing it well.
Unfortunately, there's a construction zone coming up where the speed is a bit reduced because we like to zoom through the curve at 70 kilometers per hour otherwise. Unfortunately, that's not possible today because we always adhere to the traffic regulations. But he handles this neatly at 50. There's another nasty bend here. I think he handles that super confidently, where some would start to understeer a bit because we have a good 2.3 tons of unloaded weight here.
Don't forget about that either.
By the way, the Nio ET7 has a drag coefficient of 0.208, which I forgot to mention earlier. The Mercedes EQS holds the top spot. Here it is, 70 again, very nice. And here we can really push through the curve, but do it properly, right?
Yes, keep the balance nice.
The steering might possibly be a bit more direct. It somehow feels a little bit too optimized in a way. You can fine-tune a bit, but it handles well. Also the suspension, solid, yet it is pleasantly cushioned for comfort.
Certainly.
Yes, 0.208 is an absolutely top value. The best production car is the Mercedes EQS with 0.200 and NIO rounded has 0.210. This means, of course, you're driving a very aerodynamically optimized vehicle, which will hopefully result in lower consumption during the fuel efficiency test. Yes,
Keen to see it.
we've reached our ultimate test track to go 0 to 100 with you on 19-inch winter tires. Stefan has activated our Draggy, our GPS device, and is now doing a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. 653 horsepower, 850 Newton meters. It really shoots forward. We're already at 100, and now we have no one behind us, and of course we want to really hit the brakes hard. He should ideally come to a stop within 35,5 meters, but honestly, I didn't feel that.
No, he didn't manage to do that. However, we do have some data.
Great!
0 to 100, 4.01 seconds. And from 100 to 0 in 3.2 seconds. 0 to 60 was 2.21, by the way.
So that really provides a strong push forward. We'll execute a U-turn back in the other direction and would like to try it with you once more for a second time. Before, we nicely had our test track set up here with a really nice right-left combination. And we're in Sport Plus mode, which makes it nice and firm yet comfortable. Pushes through here at 100. I have to say, he does it well. Yes.
Pushes forward well.
So for a 5.10 meter ship, I think the last time we were here with the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, which was of course tuned like Nürburgring style. But I have to say, sure, maybe it pushes and understeers a bit at the front, but it's fun. Yes. Well, it can be sporty, and if it has a factory specification of 3,8 Sekunden, and now here on our, let's say, Mecklenburg test track, 4.01, that's exactly on spec.
I was about to say.
So it truly does deliver and perform, but as always, we'll definitely do a second attempt for you in the opposite direction as well. We have to give every car 2 chances to meet the manufacturer's specification. We made the U-turn, headed the other way. You see here, it's a bit up and down, typical of Mecklenburg. We are in the flatlands. Stefan, do a countdown.
3,
2, 1, let's go!
and there he pushes onward with 30, 50, 70, reaching 100. Wow!
And we're hitting the brakes hard again. Somehow there could be a bit more deceleration. Yes.
So, let's see what we have this time. We have 0 to 100 in 4.03 this time, 0 to 60 in 2.16, but from 100 to 0 this time in 2.86.
Yes, very nice. You could somehow feel that a bit. So I have to say it all fits when you look at these vehicle dimensions, I think. Of course, moving this mass here isn't just the almost 2.4 tons of empty weight, but also a Stefan, me and the gear, lovingly estimated at 300 kilos.
I'm writing a thank you.
Thank you very much, shout out. It's not quite that much, even before Christmas. We're aiming to take the suspension out for a little bit of an in-depth test by moving it in a slalom pattern with you. And I really have to say, he's got a few wankers, of course. So now we're driving in the comfort mode. That might be able to be a tad tighter, but overall it does a really good job of holding the lane steadily. You can clearly feel how the weight and the length are influencing the car's dynamics. I switched over to Sport Plus mode once again, and naturally, we want to take another look to see exactly how it maneuvers and drives around as if our virtual heads were right here. And that's somewhat firmer, yet it still remains so. After all, it's essentially a sedan, isn't it? Yes.
It's genuinely not intended for the racetrack. I believe it really isn't crafted for that. Although,
Over the bowl, I'd surely push it.
yeah, kind of.
Once again, right? We want to measure the interior noise with you at 50 kilometers per hour. (53, 54 decibels, top value. Quieter than a Mercedes S-Class. Let's test 70. (57, 58 decibels, quite a mega value. We accelerate up to 100. (62, 63 decibels, just for comparison. That's what a VW ID.3 has, which is certainly a different class. At 50 kilometers per hour, like the ET7 at 100, hats off to Nio, you've done a great job soundproofing. Double glazing, it's a very pleasant and quiet electric drive. Nio has equipped the ET7 with exceptional steering assistance, and it manages this aspect exceptionally well. Initially, I was a bit nervous. Really serious. 33 sensors, so from Leica, high-resolution cameras, dozens of. Radars will practically surround you so that this car keeps to the center of the lane. He nailed it in this sharp right turn where almost all test subjects failed, except BMW i7, Mercedes EQS, and some Volkswagen Group derivatives. Really well done.
Certainly.
And I'd say actually it's more of a semi-autonomous support, naturally more on the highway and less on country roads. However, I must say that the system indeed functions exceptionally well. We had actually already noticed that earlier with the Nio EL8. Some of you might have watched the video where we demonstrated for everyone the initial time with our very first ride, the Nio EL8. It will also be coming to us again at the end of November, beginning of December. Videos will soon appear here on the channel as well. And we want to send it into the next curve in a semi-autonomous mode to check if it successfully maintains the center of the driving lane. Look, he's just doing it. Like somehow smoothly. You have to be able to rely on him, meaning you drive him for a longer time. But I must say, I'm really here now on the country road. I'm very, very impressed by the steering assistant, lane keeping assistant, and adaptive cruise control. By the way, it also has a partially adaptive speed adjustment. That means through traffic sign recognition, it detects speed reductions. You need to confirm the reduction by pressing downward, indicating that it doesn't automatically adjust itself. And when you drive out again and it's 100, you would have to press again to confirm that it should accelerate back to 100. So there is again an intermediate step with the button. Yes, it's not quite like with the VW Group, BMW, Mercedes, because they really are at the sign with the speed.
Precisely.
I believe that Nio will probably continue with testing and might eventually decide there is a need to adjust and modify it.
Why Sport Plus?
Because the town line's near?
Oh, I see. Out once.
I have to say, I've gotten used to 850 Newton meters, and it truly is just an awesome electric car. Look, now it's the end of the town, and now you step on it here. Boom, 80, 100. Wow, it's just fast. And I must say, obviously, you don't genuinely need that right now, no. By the way, you can also adjust the acceleration settings here. So you can choose 5.9, 7.9, 9.9, or 12.9. You can select whether strong braking, low level of your ground clearance, and you can adjust the suspension individually again in sport mode. And of course, you can also set the entire vehicle into a one-pedal driving mode. So in that sense, Nio really offers a computer on wheels here.
Certainly, of course.
However, I find everything to be somewhat more delicate and refined, better balanced and executed in terms of the mix and choice of materials used. In both look and feel, it's quite a shiny snub, especially compared to our American supercar maker.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, dizzy. So we have right here on board a sophisticated speaker system with a total of 23 speakers, which is surprisingly capable of Dolby Atmos 7.4.1, and it has 1,000 watts of output power. It's said to be quite bass heavy here, but I must admit it sounds really good, don't you agree?
Indeed.
Maybe we could change the song once more, so that we can enjoy some string instruments.
And it fundamentally is. Standard equipment, isn't it? Yes, there are no collisions happening.
If it pays, please.
That's certainly really quite cool indeed.
That definitely sounds nice, doesn't it? A key feature we want to discuss with you again is, of course, the driving and travel comfort in the city and on the road. And naturally, we employ a neutral device to effectively measure this, which simply refers to Stefan's popometer, our light-hearted way to assess comfort levels.
Yeah, I typically begin by looking at the seats. They are incredibly comfortable. I'm convinced they are genuinely designed with comfort in mind. Well, it might not exactly be a sports thing, but I don't believe that's what the vehicle is meant to be in any case. However, I would also wish for a bit more support around the thighs on the sides, as well as some additional comfort in the back area. But otherwise, I think long-distance trips here are quite relaxed. I wonder what I'll say after almost 2,000 kilometers in Zurich. Will it still be the same? Regarding the suspension, I consider it to be quite comfortable. It is stiff, both yes and no. We've observed some slight swaying movements as well. Sure, let's see, but it's quite pleasant.
The first impression here driving through the countryside and the city is that you have a comfortable companion. I think the air suspension performs excellently, even though it's not exactly a featherbed, but more of a sporty, comfortable and smooth cruiser. Yes, exactly. Where we want to find out in the second video during the consumption drive how its comfort is on the highway. In the third video, as Stefan mentioned, during the 2,000 kilometer endurance test, we want to see how the car performs in driving 1,000 or more kilometers in a day. Whether we fared well or poorly on this challenge, I'm really super curious and quite excited to see how it all turns out. Yes, you are always very, very keen on consumption, of course. Unfortunately, the Nio has a very limited onboard computer. This means you can't reset it individually, do as he might be familiar with from other vehicles, but instead, you can have it displayed over the most recent 10 kilometers or for the most recent 100 kilometers. We are at 22.8 kilowatt hours, or for the last 10 kilometers, it stands now at 20.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I'm curious to see how it really performs at 100, 120, 140 and 160 km/h. And then, of course, Stefan will naturally use his calculator to meticulously and mathematically work out the round trip and the entire total distance explicitly. Then on the 2,000 kilometers test, ITSync, and there, of course, will read battery levels, check what we've recharged, account for losses, and so on. And so that's why feel free to check again if you're part of the Info Elektrisch community so you don't miss these videos. The bell rings so you also get a notification when the second and the third video are online. And with that, let's move on to the interim conclusion. I believe the Nio ET7 is an interesting alternative. It starts at 69,900 euros, fully loaded with a tow bar, 653 horsepower, 850 Newton meters all-wheel drive. As Schnischner Schnupp, you have the option to choose from 3 interior and 5 exterior colors, which are all easily combinable. You can treat yourself to a 21-inch rim for 2.5, and then you have to decide whether to buy the battery or rent it in 2 sizes, 75 and 100 kilowatt hours. Because if you rent it, you can also do the swapping. That means the battery swap within about 5 minutes, where you basically replace an empty battery pack. For an almost fully charged battery through swapping, the Chinese currently manage to do it every 1.8 seconds. If Nio expands this comprehensively across Europe, it might possibly, feel free to write it in the comments, turn into the latest hot trend, as they say in such situations. We are initially quite impressed by the vehicle, especially when considering the context. Feel free to check out the Nio website, visit Nio houses, maybe stop by in the big cities and talk to the Nio partners. Up to 15,000 euros by the end of 2024, plus discounts for current vehicles. Alternatively, there's a 0% financing option, and currently, as I have seen, Mega cool subscription offers for previously used NIO vehicles. So probably vehicles that come back from the subscription and are then offered again. Under subscription. And that's not just for the ET7, but of course also for the ET5, for the EL6, for the EL7, and I think partly not yet for the EL8. And with that, we have arrived at the end of our video for today. As I mentioned before, in just a few days, we'll be doing the consumption drive along with the charging check. That's why please check your subscription too if you're part one of the electric community, if you've rung the bell so you don't miss the second video. And then there's even the third video with the 2000 kilometers to Auto Zurich and back, where we definitely want to see if that's a stress test for the NIO or a stress test for both of us in the NIO. Yes, what Nio has managed, and with that, thanks for watching, stay healthy, see you soon, is that it doesn't do anything halfway.
Yeah, pretty nice. There's simply a small camera inside. That looks really stylish.
Yeah, so somehow it's got a lot of bumps and knobs here. We haven't really talked much about that. Also here in front with the ladder sensor. So in that regard, it definitely has a progressive look.
Pro.